Hello, my name is Chris and I have successfully quit smoking for a little over 100 days. I think the actual total is something like 105. But 100 was I think a milestone when I realised I'd reached that. It felt good. It felt like, maybe this time I'm actually doing it. I talked in my last video about the reasons why my first attempts to quit smoking in 2016 did not work, or at least why my attempts to quit smoking forever and record diaries and do all this stuff, why that didn't work. If you don't want to go back and look at that video, that's fine. I'll just quickly recap. I tried to quit smoking and my idea was I'd create this video diary. So that was one thing that I gave myself too much pressure to do, whilst at the same time my gran was very poorly. I was going to the hospital every day to visit her, or not every day, every couple of days to visit her. I broke up with my girlfriend. There was pressure at work. There's always pressure at work, isn't there? Always. And I caved in and I would have a cigarette because I needed to change the way I felt. Things would happen, I would get stressed out, I would get anxious, I would get worried. I would need to change the way I felt, and the only way that I knew how to do that was to smoke a cigarette. I'm not proud of that, I'm not saying it was good, it just was. So I would smoke a cigarette, but then because I'd smoked the cigarette I had the original pressure, because smoking a cigarette doesn't make the original problems go away, it just blocks them out for a couple of minutes tops. So I would finish the cigarette, all the original problems would resurface, combined with this added sense of self-loathing and sort of self-pity and oh my god, I have failed. I attempted to quit smoking and I failed. What a terrible human being I am, what a worthless piece of shite I am. I would feel so bad that I would then, guess what, yes, smoke another cigarette. It wasn't good. Eventually I reached a point where I became sick and tired of this and I took a different approach. I took the approach of I wasn't going to quit smoking forever. I was going to quit smoking for one day. It didn't matter if on that day my gran got took to hospital, my girlfriend split up with me. That didn't happen because I'm now single, ladies. No, I'm just joking, I'm single. It didn't matter if, the house burned down or my clients at work ran away, if, God had struck thunder and lightning down upon me. No matter what happened on that day, I just would not smoke. And that's how I've been doing things for the past 100 and something days. It hasn't been easy, but it has been worth it. There are a few things that I've had to change and a few things that I've noticed and a few things that I've learned about myself in this past 100 days. The first thing that I have learned is to not go outside with my friends when they are smoking cigarettes. I was doing this before I smoked a cigarette, before I relapsed on my quit attempt. I have some good friends who I love dearly and they all smoke. Well, they don't all smoke, some of them smoke. And we would go out a few times a week and they would all go outside for a cigarette. And I would go, well, I'll follow you and I'll stand outside with you and you smoke and I'll inhale all your second-hand smoke. But I won't smoke a cigarette myself. Now you're probably looking at me and thinking, Chris, that was a very stupid thing to do. I agree. But at the time, it was what I did because I didn't want to be left on my own inside when all my friends were outside smoking. I didn't want to do it. But I've since changed and now I stay inside. They go outside and I get talking to other people. I make new friends, my social circle expands, hurrah! The other thing I had to change was what I do, parts of my routine. I started to realise that most of the cravings after a while were not physical. They weren't the, oh my god, my veins are itching, I'm shaking, I can't physically cope without this cigarette. Most of the cravings that I began to have were mental, and they were to do with my routine. It was a case of, okay, I normally smoked in the morning, first thing in the morning, whilst my coffee was being brewed. I would stand there and just wait for the coffee to be brewed, smoking a cigarette. So I'd get up and the coffee would be excuse me, I've lost the ability to speak. I would get up and my coffee would be brewing, and my brain would say to me, okay Chris, this is when we have a cigarette. Where's the cigarette? Where's the cigarette? And I would go, there is no cigarette. And then I'd get into a tiz. And, what do I do? I would have to find something else to do. The other big one was, in the course of my day during my working hours, I work as a freelance writer, and my daily routine would be that I would write a bit of copy, I might do a draft, I might do a couple of paragraphs, then I would give myself a break from staring at my screen, I would go away, have a cigarette, come back. Every now and again I would be working on something and I would finish a draft or I would finish a couple of paragraphs, and my brain would say to me, Chris, we have finished a draft, we have finished these paragraphs, now we can go and have a cigarette. So where's the cigarette? Where is it, Chris? Where's this cigarette that you normally always have at this time? Where is it? The cigarette isn't coming. There is no cigarette. So I would have to do something different. It was a lot of trial and error. There were some days I would literally just bounce off the walls and bounce off the ceiling and sit there going, oh my goodness, what do I do? But because I've made that decision that all I had to do was to get to the end of the day, it was easier to withstand that. Because when I was telling myself that I quit smoking and I wasn't going to smoke ever again, it was easy for me in my head to go, well, I'm never going to smoke ever again, but I can start tomorrow. Or I can start the day after. I don't have to get through today, all I have to do, I can start this tomorrow. Because I've made that promise to myself that I just had to get to the, to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, whenever I was going to bed, it was a lot easier for me to say, well, I just have to get through these next couple of hours. So I would rattle, I would shake, rattle and roll, but eventually, we got through. I got through. The other thing that had to change was everything else. After I quit smoking, I lost some weight and then I piled it back on. And I piled it back on through eating everything. I was eating lots of sugar, lots of cakes, lots of sweets and cookies, lots of fatty, unhealthy food. I was eating lots of pizza. I was just becoming horrible. And the reason for that was that I went through this big period after after I settled down and not smoking became a reality. I went through this big period of anxiety and a period of depression. I've dealt with depression my entire adult life. I went through that too. And I needed to change the way I felt. Now, normally I would change the way I felt by smoking a cigarette. I could no longer do that. I had ruled that out as an option. So I went to the next safest thing, which was sweets, pizza. I would go to the fish and chip shop. I would eat. I would seek comfort in food and in television and sit on the sofa and just veg and become a waste. And the thing was that I would have all these feelings of anxiety and depression coupled with the thing I spoke about earlier, which was that now I was beating myself up, going, oh my God, I've eaten all this food, I'm a terrible person, why can't I just be normal? And I would feel bad about myself, and because I would feel so bad, I would need to change the way I felt, and because I had to change the way I felt, I would eat more, and so the cycle continues. And the reason I felt so bad comes down to the reason I smoked in the first place. I never smoked cigarettes because I enjoyed the way they tasted. I never smoked cigarettes because they made me look cool. Trust me, I have never been cool my entire life. I'm okay with that. The only reason I smoked cigarettes that I know now, I'm not sure I knew then, was because I didn't like the way I felt and I didn't like who I was, and I had to change the way I felt, and I had to escape from myself, and cigarettes helped me to do that. Cigarettes became my coping mechanism. You take away that coping mechanism, and what I am left with is all these raw feelings that I have no clue how to deal with, and I need to still get rid of them, change the way I feel by doing something different. So all I did was I replaced cigarettes with food, and I would get worse and worse and worse until only about 2 weeks before I stand here now making this video, I thought, no, this has to stop. The thing that I have to work on now is finding out why I hate myself so much that I will pollute myself with these cigarettes. To figure out why there is something so fundamentally wrong with me that I would deliberately choke and poison myself for years. If there was somebody I cared about, and there are lots of people I care about and people that I love, I would not go to these people and deliberately, purposefully fill them full of chemicals and smoke and poison. I wouldn't do it to them, but why? Because I love them and I care about them and I want them to be well and to be happy. So why would I do it to myself? I don't know, but I do intend to find out. Because if I'm going to stay smoke free and avoid all those other health problems that I will get if I spend all my days sitting on the sofa eating pizza and sweets, I need to start being happy with myself and treating myself with the same love and kindness that I would treat other people. It's going to be an interesting journey, and I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know how often I'm going to make these videos. I don't know what's going to happen from here. All I know is that I feel very positive and very ready to do this. Let's say that I feel very ready to do this. I'm going to leave it there for today. I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I'm still figuring out how to use this camera that I've got to make videos, so if this is a bit blurry or I'm not on the screen, I do apologise. I will get better, I hope. Thank you very much for watching. If you are on your own quit smoking journey, you can do it. You don't need luck, you just need to do it. Trust me, if I can do it, if I can get 100 days, you can get a lot longer. Because I don't know if you've met me, but I am a mess. But not for much longer. Thanks a lot. See you around the YouTube. Bye bye.